Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Northern Kentucky Spotlight Podcast powered by C Crew. I'm your host, Sarah Brookbank. Today on the podcast, we are joined by Katie Scanlon English and Jessica Remole of the Business Network International of Southwest Ohio in Northern Kentucky. They highlight the benefits of joining a chapter and what's going on with their first Hispanic BNI chapter. We are also joined by Kumar of Connico. He shares how they're developing their own type of leadership and what the future holds for the firm. Thank you to our podcast sponsors, C Crew, Google and Amazon advertising experts, and Schneller Knockelman. We have another great Eggs and Issues coming up this month. Join us on August 19th for Eggs and Issues from Concept to Reality, Building the One NKY Center. Our panelists will discuss how they plan to work together to drive regional growth, attract investment, support key industries, and activate a unified strategy for Northern Kentucky's future. You can register for that event at nkychamber.com/events and check out everything else we have going on this summer. Now let's go meet our members of the week, hear from our sponsors, and I'll be back with this week's guests.
Ranking on Google Search and Maps is easy to understand, but hard to do. It requires constant effort and attention, uploading new photos, responding to Google reviews, writing weekly posts, and checking suggested updates. Google listing optimization takes experience and time, and there are no shortcuts. C Crew gives your Google My Business account the steady, consistent attention it needs to be effective, optimizing, updating, and expanding critical content every single week. From local retail stores to large regional networks, C Crew generates content, establishes benchmarks, and creates dramatic, measurable increases in engagement. So what can C Crew do for your business? More calls, more clicks, more clients.
Congratulations to our members of the week. You can learn more about these businesses by following the Northern Kentucky Chamber on social media, where we highlight one of these businesses each day. Now let's meet our members of the week. Foreman and Associates excels in DUI, criminal defense, and personal injury law, with a team that boasts more than 80 years of combined legal experience. IMC Logistics is the largest marine drayage provider in the United States, offering secured container storage, transloading, intermodal rail, chassis provisioning, and project logistics services. Life NKY is Kentucky's nonprofit life sciences incubator, dedicated to supporting early-stage life sciences companies. CareNet is a Christ-centered organization existing to educate, support, and empower women and men before, during, and after pregnancy while uplifting the sanctity of human life. Clark Schaefer Hackett is more than an accounting and advisory firm. They're striving to be your most valued advisor. Hi, everyone. Today on the podcast, we are joined by Katie Scanlon English and Jessica Remole of Business Network International of Southwest Ohio and Northern Kentucky. I did have to look at my notes for that to get that all right. But ladies, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much.
It is so great to have you on. Tell us a little bit about BNI. You guys have a really cool model going on here in Greater Cincinnati.
So BNI Swankey is a region of BNI, and Katie is our executive director. So, but we help businesses connect with other business professionals to network and grow their business.
Yeah, that's very important, very top of line what you all do. And you guys have multiple chapters working in Greater Cincinnati. Tell us about all of the things you guys have going on.
So we have 43 chapters right now just in the Cincinnati, Northern Kentucky area. The business is worldwide, so we have BNI in over 76 countries in the whole world. But yeah, just in our little neck of the woods, we have 43 chapters.
Yeah, and you guys are growing exponentially here, it seems like. So tell us a little bit about the types of businesses you work with and what businesses need to know if they're looking to grow.
I would say any business, for the most part, would benefit in some way with BNI. I think most of our biggest professions are real estate agents, our financial advisors, insurance agents. Some of those types of businesses are the big ones that we have. But on the sides, we have just small businesses like Jessica's business. We have Mary Kay Consultants. From one end of the spectrum to the other, we have so many different businesses.
Yeah, I always say I know large HVAC companies that have 10 employees and 10 different chapters. And then I know Mary Kay reps that have built small empires in their BNI chapter. So any type of business that needs to connect with other people to grow is really the perfect kind of business for BNI.
Yeah. So that's pretty much everybody.
Yeah.
Like you all have mentioned. One of the cool things that you guys are doing here in Greater Cincinnati and Northern Kentucky, you guys just recently launched a bilingual Hispanic chapter. Tell us a little bit about that and how you guys formed it and what's the importance behind it.
So it's been super exciting, and it happened. So I'm new to the launch director role. I launched our first chapter in the spring, and there was a young lady that was subbing in for a member frequently, and she's from Colombia, and her realtor friend is from Mexico, and they have both been around BNI. And so really believed in the foundation of BNI, what it can do to help grow businesses. And so she came to me and she said, hey, has this ever been done? And I said, no, but it's a really great idea. And I know that there's a really large Latino business population here. And if you take, their community-driven purpose and loyalty, and you mesh that with the BNI platform, like the potential for economic it just explodes. Mm-hmm. So we're excited. So it's launching in August. They've been meeting since May. They're at 18 members right now. And they picked their official name. They are the Hispanic Pioneer Alliance.
Oh,
is
I
their
love
chapter
that.
name. Yeah. So and I just feel honored just to be part of it. So it's really special.
Yeah. And so are you guys recruiting members for that? Can people still get involved if we have Hispanic owned businesses here at the Chamber?
Absolutely. Yes. We welcome that. So we have 18, again, applications in. It's industry exclusive. So any seat that's not taken is open. Everyone's welcome to come visit. And come check it out.
Yeah, that's really great. And so outside of the Hispanic chapter, obviously, which is new and growing, you mentioned you have 43 chapters. Are you guys still accepting spots for those? Or are you guys still looking to grow? How can businesses figure out how to apply?
Always. So any seat that's not filled, anyone's welcome to check out our website and look and see if there is a chapter in their area that makes sense for them to go and visit. They can visit. As a guest, if their category is already taken in the chapter, or they can find a chapter that does not have their profession within it, and they can go and visit and maybe even get referrals on their first visit. But we welcome anybody. And then again, if there's someone that loves visiting a BNI chapter and their profession is already taken, then they can come to us and say, hey, I would love to start my own.
Yeah, that gives a lot of opportunities for people to get involved and find what works for them. One of the other things I wanted to ask about, you guys also are supporting nonprofits. It's not just businesses looking for growth. Touch on that a little bit.
So our nonprofits, we love our nonprofit groups. BNI does what's the word I'm trying to think of? Since they give to the community, we want to help them also. So they get a free membership for the first year when they apply and are joining a chapter. So that's our little way to give back to the nonprofits, so they don't have to pay for their first year membership. And then we hope that they love it and want to stay and spread the word and help their own nonprofit in the communities that they are involved with.
Yeah, that's really exciting that you guys have that opportunity for some of our nonprofit people. And then one of the other things that I wanted to talk about, so BNI, obviously, referral network, you talk about growth potential. That's one of the biggest things, one of the biggest benefits about joining an organization like this. What do you guys think that your clients and what your members are seeing?
So I can speak to my personal experience. 15 years ago, I've always been in sales, but walking into a large group of people to speak was something that would have been, I would have been shaking in my boots. Fast forward, and here I am presenting in front of large groups. I've been involved in my chapter for 10 years. I left a career of 11 years and launched my own business, largely due to the support of my BNI chapter, and not just inside my BNI chapter, but the relationships I built throughout BNI in this region. They're an extension of my business, of my family, and some of my best friends.
Yeah, that sounds really great. It sounds like a great opportunity for businesses that are looking to grow, expand, or just meet some new people. And Katie, Jessica, is there anything else that you think people need to know about BNI before I let you go today?
I love BNI. People use the word passion for your business a lot, but it's something that when you hear the testimonials and the stories of people who start a business or during COVID kept their business going because of the relationships that they have formed, those are the things that just melt your heart and want you to keep going. So just having that opportunity to really help businesses start from 1 to 2 employees to 10, 11, 12, 20 employees, they can retire and the business is still going. Those stories are just what BNI is all about.
BNI has been a lot. It's helped me through. My husband had a kidney transplant and cancer, and all the business things, but then all the personal things on top of it. But at the end of the day, when you're building your BNI chapter or you're stepping into membership, you're joining something that's bigger than you. And I think that's the biggest takeaway, like the giver's gain. If you do enough for other people, like naturally those things come back. And then the other core value, like the lifelong learning. If you continue learning, you're always a better resource in life to everyone around you. And in that room, I feel like we're always building like know, like, and trust. So I've become the person that when someone needs someone, they call me and they're like, hey, do you have someone? And that means a lot to me because I'm a call that they make and they trust that who I'm sending them is going to do a good job. And it means the world to me that when I pick up the phone and call someone in my BNI chapter or in my network of BNI relationships, I can count on that person to show up the right way for the people I'm sending them to.
Yeah, and that is so valuable in the business world and in real life outside of work.
Yes.
Well, thank you both so much for coming on today. It was great to talk with both of you.
Thank you so much for having us.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
Hi, everyone. Today on the podcast, I am joined by Shri Kumar, President and CEO at Connico. Shri, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me, Sarah.
It is great to have you. Connico, you guys are located here in Greater Cincinnati. You guys have an office here, but you guys do work across the nation. Tell us a little bit about your origin story.
Well, Connico actually started in 1990. The late Connie Gowder, hence Connico, she kind of set up her own shingle, a one-woman consulting firm. A couple of years later, she brought on Dave Hunley, who would go on to kind of be her longtime business partner. So together, they built a business that carved out this really unique niche in consulting. They focused on infrastructure, thinking about what does a project cost, how long does a project take, and how can we make sure the project meets the schedule and meets the budget. So she kind of built a business in scheduling, estimating, and on-site construction management. And she chose to focus on aviation, which I think is really cool because it's so unique. So they kind of struck it out as partners, and they built their way to building Connico into a national consultancy. And now we're recognized for our extraordinary team culture, our commitment to our clients, and of course, just absolute top-notch quality. So we kind of continue to build on Connie's legacy and act as like that trusted advisor to the client. And now we don't just do airports. We do roadways, parks, playgrounds, bridges, water treatment plants, all those kinds of things across the country, really.
Yeah, and that is a lot. That is a lot of different projects that you guys have. On your website, it says you guys have over 3,000 projects across the U.S. You mentioned you work a lot of with airports. So tell us a little bit about what you guys are doing locally and what this growth has been like for you all.
Yeah, the Cincinnati Northern Kentucky Airport is near and dear to us. I acted as sort of extension of staff there for 3 years myself, showing up there every day in kind of the mid-2010s to learn the inner workings of the airport and all the little things that go on behind the scenes that passengers really don't see.
Yeah.
We expect our ticket and bag tag to print out, and we expect the boarding bridge to get us over to the aircraft boarding door. And everything else that goes on, people don't really see, but the Cincinnati airport in particular it's like a small city. It connects the entire Northern Kentucky and frankly Midwest region to all these national and now even more international destinations. So it's really exciting to have done a variety of projects there, whether parking lots, retaining walls, runways, taxiways, the surfaces that the aircraft move around on. So we continue to be involved on those pretty major projects and pretty exciting projects that they have going on. In the kind of community area, we've been involved in a couple other projects too, getting some planning going for the bridge project, which we are
Yes.
crossing our fingers on and have been for years. But we also built Arrow Parkway, a little highway connector down there by the new Amazon facility. So we've dabbled in a wide variety of projects and project types across the whole region.
Yeah, you guys are a little bit of everywhere, especially if you're out at the airport. That is a huge growing area for us. You mentioned you guys have been around since 1990. One of the things that you're passionate about is making Connico the best place to work. You guys were nominated for our Cool Place to Work award for the Business Impact Awards earlier this year. Tell us a little bit about the culture you guys are building and how you're making it a great place to be.
Yeah, one of the things that is really imperative to us is to live out this vision. And when I kind of took over after Connie's sudden passing in 2021, I called the leadership team together and I let them know that we were essentially going to abandon our financial goals. Now, this isn't to say, like, of course, like we run and check the numbers, like we have financial projections, we are a business, but it is completely counterintuitive. And it came as a shock to them, people who had been in sort of the traditional Western business world for decades, where we say profit is king. And for me to say it's not, people are king. And we launched on this sort of project. And immediately we did come out with that vision that you mentioned. Our vision doesn't talk about the scheduling, the estimating, the project management. It doesn't talk about reports or spreadsheets. It doesn't even talk about airports. It doesn't even talk about consulting. Our vision is literally be the best place to work. And it really comes down to how we're empowering our leaders and our people on our team. We want to make sure like they feel like they own a piece of the outcome.
Mm-hmm.
And that gives them the agency to show up and, they show it up every day and they leave it all on the desk, so to speak, right? And so we're really proud of the way that they are committed to the vision and they are living it out, showing up and just giving their best every single day.
Yeah, that's great. Have you guys seen, so obviously this has been a process you guys have been working on for a couple of years. What do you think, if you have advice for other businesses out there that are like, how do we make that work for our business? What are some tips and tricks that you have for that?
Well, some of them are trade secrets, so I won't say too much about. No, I'm just kidding. We are extremely dedicated to communication, and that was not, wisdom that was bestowed on us from on high. That was a lesson that we learned by miscommunicating and undercommunicating time and time again.
Mm-hmm.
And our team, thankfully, graciously had the feedback to say, you've communicated insufficiently. So the communication, both saying what you mean to say, saying it more than once, saying it in more than one avenue. And then the other side of communication that you always hear you should be doing more of than speaking is listening. And so listening to your team and spending that time to ensure that their needs are met.
Mm-hmm.
And if you put a little bit of time into those things, I think you're going to be surprised at the loyalty, commitment, and dedication that the team forms to one another, not to the business or to its bottom line, but to the rest of the team. And I think that really makes it a great place to work when people show up.
Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing that tip. I know a lot of people talk about like how workplace culture is so important. So we love when we can get some tips to share. One of the other things I wanted to talk about is you host a podcast for Connico, the B side with Shri. Tell us a little bit about that. I love when I get to talk to other podcasters.
Host and podcast, I think, are loose terms. I'm not a podcast person. I don't really know much about podcasting. But people for my whole life, they've been saying, you ask a lot of questions, and it's not always meant as a compliment, but it's always been true. And I realized that I was asking a lot of questions, and that in response, people, just ordinary, average, like everyday people, they were giving me answers that were so insightful. I thought they could be impactful for other people to hear. And the B side, I speak to a lot of people. They're not old enough to remember a record, like the flat black
Yes.
discs. I got to coach them through that. But, the A side always gets the top billing. The B side, though, is sometimes the story that sticks with you longer or is more special to you. And so when I have the guests on, generally, I don't talk to them about the things that they are extremely well known for and extremely successful at. I try to ask them questions that maybe they haven't been asked before. And so far, their answers have just blown me away. I hope that people go out there, and it's not about, check out the podcast and, give it a 10 out of 10 rating or whatever. I hope they listen to it on repeats, because every time they listen to it, maybe they're getting a little bit more of something that they could do in their life, they could do with their family, with their team, with their career, and they could learn and grow.
Yeah, I absolutely love that. We know that podcast listens are important, but it is more the content that is the more important part.
Yeah.
Shri, it has been so great to have you on the podcast. For people who are interested in learning more about Connico or getting in touch with you, what's the best way for people to do that?
Definitely check out our website, connico.com. Definitely go listen to the podcast. It's on Spotify and other places that podcasts are that I don't know about. I've got a LinkedIn, Shri Kumar, and you can follow me. And also our Connico LinkedIn will tell you a lot about what we're doing, very often in the Northern Kentucky region, but also in other places. You'll see some of our projects. You'll see a lot of our team features. So if you're interested in learning more about how to build a great team, that's a great place to get resources.
Yeah, well, thank you for sharing that. That's an easy way to get in touch. And then Shri, before I let you go, is there anything else you think our viewers and listeners need to know about you or about Connico?
I want people to know that there is no magic sauce for getting on a podcast or starting your own podcast or running your own business or anything like that. If you are able to dare to cast a bold vision, and then you are willing to every single day just put in the hard work to make that vision a reality, that's a lesson that I learned in my childhood. And it's a mentality and a behavior pattern that have spilled over to the rest of the team. And so many people think, oh, I've got to inspire others. I've got to lead a charge. I've got to hop up on a horse and lead the team into battle, right? Cast a bold vision and then work to live your vision out, and other people are going to follow you.
All right. Well, that is great advice. And Shri, thank you so much for coming on the podcast today. It was absolutely great to have you.
Thanks, Sarah. I look forward to the next one.
Yes.
Chris Knockelman with Schneller Knockelman Plumbing, Heating, and Air. It's spring now, but before you know it, our ACs are working overtime.
Dave, it's going to be warm soon.
Right now is a good time to get the AC serviced, right?
You can get your AC tuned up for only $59.
So get your $59 tune-up at
SKPHA.com. SKPHA. So if your plumbing and mechanical systems give you trouble, just remember our name, Schneller Knockelman.
Northern Kentucky needs tailored solutions to address our housing shortage. Home for All, Northern Kentucky Housing Strategies, explores how we can retain young adults, help older residents downsize or age in place, and ensure new neighbors have housing options that fit their lives. Dive into the report at housingNKY.org. Welcome back, everyone. Thanks so much for tuning into the podcast today. I hope you enjoyed learning more about BNI and Connico. Thank you once again to our podcast sponsors, C Crew, Google and Amazon advertising experts, and Schneller Knockelman. And like I said, you can register for Eggs and Issues happening on August 19th at nkychamber.com/events. Like I said, the August Eggs and Issues is going to be focused on the One NKY Center. Finally, if you are a member who would like to be featured on the podcast, or if you're someone who is interested in joining the Northern Kentucky Chamber, please reach out to Lynn Amelin. And if you're a member who would like to share your workforce strategies and resources on our Talent Strategies Spotlight, please reach out to Nancy Spivey. You can find their contact information on the screen in front of you or at our staff directory at nkychamber.com. Thanks so much for tuning in. I'll talk to you guys next week.